Hello and welcome to the We Are Birmingham podcast. I'm Chris Golding.
I'm Matthew Elliott.
And as ever, we're joined by the vegan. Good evening, Dave.
Evening, gents. You okay?
Yeah, all good, thank you, mate. Got some. Your eyes look different, Chewy.
You got something in your eyes? You got something on your eyes?
Steroids in your eyes?
Got my new Jerry Adams glasses.
Do the impression.
I will not do the impression.
Do they force this upon you after so many years in the country? You get issued
This
a
is
pair
what
of Jerry
happens,
Adams
Joe.
glasses.
When you get to a certain age and you've lived here for a certain amount of time, every citizen gets given a free pair of Jerry Adams glasses, depending on what side of the fence you're sitting on, of course. So, and I don't sit on any side of the fence, so I've just got a pair of glasses.
So you also have an opposing set of glasses as well to represent the values of your opponents.
Yeah, well, they are contact lenses.
So
anyway, you look great.
Let's get sorted. You do look beautiful. Makes your eyes look small. I'm not going to comment.
Let's not go.
Not going to say what I was thinking anyway. So shall we get on with everyone's seventh podcast this week, if they've listened to all the new podcasts that have popped up?
Yeah, everyone's they only pod when they're winning. When we're winning, no, good to see. It's fresh, some new ideas. See what's knocking around. To be fair,
do you know what it is? It's the positivity. Everyone's so positive. It's like, let's get a podcast going. We'll get invited to the open houses when we're in the Premier League, and we'll go and meet all the superstar players that we sign. That's what it is. But yeah, like you say, good
could
content
be onto something then.
People keep get the content out there, get Blues coverage, and cover all the demographics, like the for the older guys and the younger guys like us, because we're just young whippersnappers.
Actually, so that comment was dedicated to Thrill House from the Small Heath Alliance. Actually, he did. I think he replied to you, Chris, and he said he realised we were of the older demographic. I think we were old farts because we remember the Leyland Daff. So yeah, I think the wording of it confused us a little, and I think he thought that the wording might confuse us, so then he did explain. So there we go. Hello, Thrill House. Thank you for listening. And yeah, we are old farts. So there you go.
So anyone that wasn't aware of what was going on here, Chris and Matthew briefly thought they were still in their 20s. Rather than their 40s. Yeah.
I mean, there are occasions when I still think that. Like it changes when I wake up in the morning for a little while.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Right, should we get into it? Because we're about an hour overdue on this because of technical issues.
Yeah.
His laptop died just before we were about to start recording. So
work laptop. So yeah, maybe no work for me tomorrow, people. Who knows?
Ooh.
I'll just have to see.
You can edit this instead.
New laptop
they will probably
week.
Fly a laptop to me because they'd be so desperate for me to do work.
Anything to do with your glasses? You're going to threaten them?
I could do, yeah. Right, yeah. So
West Brom. Let's have a look at it quickly. How did it look on TV? Because being there was
with these glasses, it looked.
Is it like seeing in HD now?
It honestly, mate, it's so good. Actually, my prescription has not changed. It's just the frames that have changed. My prescriction is still.
You finally see like the depth of.
Whoa! It's like it's coming right at me. It's like they're just new glasses. My prescription hasn't changed, right? So just. But it was very good on TV. Well, let's take a step back. The result was brilliant. First half, it was very, very even.
Results mean nothing in pre-season.
That is also true, but it's hard not to get excited, isn't it? Really,
especially the ones that we don't mention when we lose them.
Yeah, we don't mention the ones we lose. The first half was pretty even, but you could see what we were setting out to do. Obviously, we were against better opposition who are used to facing teams that do that, and you could tell from that first half that we still created openings. They got onto us a few times as well without creating anything too clear cut. Second half, I thought we were much the better team, and then the wheels fell off them once we'd scored the second. They seemed to tire, but the big thing for me in that second half was when they made mistakes, we capitalised on them straight away. Yeah. And even when we made a mistake, we turned the ball over quickly to get it back. Mark Leonard a couple of times in that second half after he'd come on had maybe like lost the ball, or we'd lost the ball and he'd gone and closed them down and won the ball back.
Especially the very first pass that he did.
Oh, his first touch when he give it away. Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck? But
which I actually saw referred to as the worst first touch of a player that's played for Blues ever.
I mean,
as in not like a regular first touch, but like the first touch as a Blues player.
I think there was a guy who, I think his name was Dan Salan. Was he Swedish? Or I think Barry Fry had signed him. One of his many signings. We'll have to look this up, right? So I'm pretty sure that...
I'm sure we'll get contacted shortly afterwards.
Yeah, there was I think he may have even got sent off straight away. I don't know. I might be wrong about that, but we'll have to have a look into it. Anyway, it wasn't a great touch. It depends what he did, I guess. But it was that touch by Leonard was dreadful, but he made amends and he looked very, very good in that sort of 40. What was it? 35 minutes, 40 minutes, probably he was on for.
There was one pass as well that was absolutely beautiful out wide.
And his passing range is lovely. And from what I'd seen of Northampton, just the highlights, you could tell it was very good. And he seems his weight of passes is really good. Probably not going to start for a few weeks, or maybe not in the league anyway. But the energy he brought and his passing range, really, really good. I thought that substitution, or the double substitution there, probably had an impact on the final result. But they just looked tired and looked. When that second goal went in, they just looked like the wheels had come completely off them, I thought.
I think that the substitutions were actually quite predictable. I stood there with Scott Jinks, who did the podcast with us a few months back, and we were watching it, and we basically called every substitution pretty much, not the Josh Home one or Brandon Keeler one, but most of them, the big ones, just for... Right, it looks like we'll probably get such and such on there now, and sort of calling people into the right place and who they were coming on for. But they were the right sort of substitutions at the right time. Mm-hmm. And that's with the way that we're playing this season and the way that we're going to... Teams that play out from the back, we're going to press them high. Teams that don't, we're not going to get the opportunity. Teams that just want to go long. But teams that do try and play out, so Reading, for example, on Saturday, are a good example of a team that will try and play the ball out. We'll come on to that later. But those type of teams, it's going to be high energy, it's going to be an intense press, and we're going to need these players, the squad, to rotate them. So in that regard, and I think we said it at the game, and we said it in our chats after the game, we're probably going to score a lot of goals sort of 60, 70, 80 minutes this season as teams tire, and we can bring make these changes on. I was trying to say that in English. We can make these changes and bring these players on. It's going to give us much more opportunities, and especially if we've already got a goal as well. If teams are pushing, it's going to leave massive gaps. So it's going to be a squad game this season, definitely.
That's the beauty of having such a big squad as well, that we can make those changes, and those changes are all going to be able to make an impact as well. Shout out for Christoph Clara, who I thought was excellent when he came on as well. Again, I know only a friendly, but I wasn't too sure on his positioning for trying to pick up passes from people. I wasn't 100% sure he knew where he was supposed to be, but he was available and he was making those passes. And I saw a lot of comments about him being quite assured in possession. I wasn't 100% sold on that, but I think he was probably working his way in. But as a defender and as a threat at the other end of the pitch, was absolutely superb. I thought I was really impressed.
One of the first times that he was on the ball, I think he just absolutely leathered it and cleared it out for a throw.
It went out of play. I thought, is that Mark Roberts?
So that was one of his first sort of times in possession. That was what happened.
Yeah.
And I sort of turned to Scott, who I was watching the game with. I was like, we looked at each other. It's like, well, he's got to have more about him
than that.
That. Otherwise, the stats wouldn't have pointed us in his direction. And I think as he got more into it, he got more assured. It could have just been that he's thought at the time, I'm under pressure, don't chance it, like, don't do anything silly. And do you know what? I don't mind that. If you are, there's a time to play it out and there's a time to get rid of it. And
there's going to be occasions when you have to do that. That, I don't think that was actually one of them. I think he was trying to attempt some form of long, sort of semi-crossfield ball, wasn't he? I don't know if he was expecting someone to make a run for it, but it kind of it was very reminiscent of a Mark Roberts clearance.
I can't really remember the situation. I just remember him smashing one out of play. We might be on about different moments here.
Maybe did it twice.
Yeah. Was that in the first half, just after he'd come on, or was it in the second half?
I think it was in the second half. I think that I'm thinking of, but
I don't know, because I didn't see him. So I popped to the toilet just as Bielik had gone down, actually. So I didn't see the change and see what happened just shortly after. But I was impressed with him overall. I thought that he fit in very well, and I thought once he settled down, he was very composed.
He's a physical presence, isn't he? He looks like quite imposing. But in both boxes, a couple of good headers out in our box, and obviously created one and scored one at the other end. Which
and what a lovely touch it was onto that little flick onto Sanderson's header.
Who did he set up? Who did he set up for the? Was that another May goal? No, it wasn't a May goal, was it? Who scored the third? It's because it was Williamson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was quite a nice little touch as well.
I forgot that he was even up there for that one. To be honest, yeah, you're right.
Impressed with him there. I was actually a little bit when I saw that Bielik was probably going to be fit and okay to start. We're assuming he's going to be okay to start based on his social media message. I was a little bit gutted for Clara because I thought, actually, we'll be okay with Sanderson and Clara at the back against Redden. I think we'll be fine, but so I was a little bit gutted. But he'll play on Tuesday, won't he, against Charlton? It is Tuesday or Wednesday, and this week isn't it anyway, but next week's
a week away, isn't it?
So, but yeah, really impressive. Great way to sign off pre-season. The performances and the games just got better, and we scored an awful lot of goals over pre-season, and that Paderborn game is a distant memory.
And what Paderborn game? The games that we don't talk about.
We don't talk about.
I think it's probably time get some 15-second opinions in because we put them out there. So let's listen to them now.
15-second opinion.
Hi gents, Alex from Sutton Coldfield. I think we know from previous summers that we shouldn't judge anything until after at least half a dozen games. Anybody who thinks they know how good we're going to be at this stage is a bit deluded in my opinion, but it looks good on paper.
Hi, Matta here. As a pioneer and preeminent supporter of Blues enjoying League One, I can't wait to destroy the league and be proclaimed world champions. Bring it on.
Hi lads, looking forward to the new season. Hopefully relegation can be our chance to reset and start again. From the new signings, I'm most excited about Emil Hansen. Reminds me a lot of Seb Larsson, so hopefully he can be just as productive. Stay safe and keep right on.
Hi lads, safe to say it's the first time in a long time I've been genuinely excited about a season. Nice for us to be shopping in the league above we're playing in rather than the league below, which we have done for years. Generally think we could win the league. I think it's going to be a good one. 100 points, Birmingham City.
Alright lads, I'm back. Chris O'Brien here. I'm ready for a 3-0 at home against Reading. I'm going to say Mark Leonard's going to score. I'm going to say Alfie May, grab a brace. Up the Blues, keep right on.
Absolutely no idea on the signings. Doesn't really matter if we do that well. Just know it's going to be so much fun to be back, having a drink and a song with the people you love. Keep right on.
Afternoon, gents. Like most people, absolutely buzzing with all the signings. All look astute, all look clever, all look good business. Really excited for the season. What I want to know is, what is Chrissy Davis doing that Rooney couldn't?
Once again, thank you everyone for sending those in. Thanks for getting involved. I love the contrast in some of them. It's like, let's not get carried away. We're absolutely smashing it. I don't know who any of the players are. I don't care. Oh, I love all the signings. I think we've done a great job. And it's like that contrast. I think everyone's just getting silly and hyper for what's to come this season. I think most people, a majority of the fan base, are probably realistic that it's not going to be easy, but positive and I don't know what the word is, but just excited and got a feeling that we are going to do well. And it's difficult. I think it's after seeing how we played against Baggies and how we've tried to play since probably like game 2 or 3 in pre-season, that we can see something. We can see progress. We can see a style. We can see an identity. And I can see that there are going to be results come from it. And for me, I'm like trying not to get carried away, but I feel like we can get a winning mentality set back up. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be games where we have to. So going back to the West Brom game, West Brom play a very good high press, probably one of the best in the Championship. But there's not many teams that are going to press us that high. But it's very impressive to see that we can play out from the back very calmly. And we can go, right, okay, you can do that, and we'll just pass through your lines and we've got opportunities. And then when we match their press, puts them under pressure, as you say, tires them out. For me, if we can do that against West Brom, the teams that sit with a deeper block, we're going to have, we've got to break them down, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting trying to do it. There's going to be some games where it's not going to be very pretty at times, but we're going to see a lot of the ball.
We will, and I think the beauty of the squad, which we're still building, and we're still going to add to, is that we've got different types of players there. Now, I know we've had talk about Emil Hansen and Siriki Dembele off in the group chat and stuff like that. Bring different qualities to. We spoke about them last week, didn't we? Bring different qualities to the table. We've got other players that they can mix and match. We had Chris O'Brien talk about Mark Leonard there, and we've got Jordan James assuming if he stays. Different players can do different things to break open defences, create chances, etc. We've got what's the phrase? We've got lots of tools in the tool belt. We've got like weapons in the arsenal to be able to break these teams down as well. So it's very hard not to get excited. I think you tweeted something similar, and I tweeted something at the weekend. Like after that game, there's a general good feeling when you're winning your friendlies. You know, I think that helps to build up the winning mentality, and we're doing it in a way that isn't lucky. It's not by chance. It's by design. We are playing to an identity that Chris Davis has instilled in the team over the past few weeks since he's been in. And we said it last week, but the progress they have made as a team in that short amount of time is absolutely incredible. And there's players in the team that we had in the team last season that people said couldn't play this way and are playing it very, very well.
Well, that was mentioned in the 15-second opinions. What is Chris Davis doing that Rooney couldn't do?
Coaching.
Arguably. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at Plymouth this season. Like, I've got no ill feeling towards him other than being a bit of a wanker about Blues fans. But I could
joining in the riots in Plymouth.
Was it him? Now, they've said he's been out on social media. It said that it wasn't him. It was Sky Sports' security someone, and they've shown a picture of him in a helmet, and like he's got the same colour jacket on and whatever. I still think it's Rooney. I've seen both. It's in Plymouth.
They did. Did you see there was a version of it where they zoomed right in, and it was like that is definitely him as well.
Oh, I think it's him.
Yeah.
Vegan,
well,
what do you think?
I think sadly it's not. It'd be funny if it was.
Boo! Dave doesn't think we're getting 100 points either.
No. 100 points, 100 goals. No, what I do want to know from both of you, though, is how many games in will it be until someone behind you or next to you, or you overhear the words typical Blues? Or are we going to go a season where we don't actually for once hear that?
We'll hear it. We'll definitely hear it. And do you know what people were talking about it for the Reading game? That we're going to go into that and we're going to lose it 1. I think it was on Twitter Spaces with Punjabi Blues the other night. I think people were saying...
Was that the thing that you were speaking on?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'd joined it, had a chat with him.
I was paying attention.
But had a little chat on there, and some people were saying... we're going to lose it 1-0. Typically, we're going to lose it 1-0, but then we're going to smash it the rest of the season. And it's like, yeah, okay, typical Blues. I'm not sure that's going to happen. The bigger thing that will happen this season is when we're trying to move the ball around the back and people get nervy about it and people get panicky and people lose patience. And that's something that Blues fans are going to have to get their head around this season and going forward, is having a bit of patience, that we're not just going to lump the ball forward, not going to move it forward. The whole get it forward thing is gone.
That's one thing I noticed about with Peacock Fowl, actually, at the West Brom game, just how much more confident on the ball he was at the back. Not quick. How quickly he was looking for distribution options out there, and not once did you you think he's not wanting to play this way or he's being told to do this. It just looked natural.
And arguably, he's the weaker of the two.
In that area. But I have actually been really impressed with him, because I am quite unsure about him. I'm unsure about both goalkeepers from an actual fundamental aspect, because from what I've seen of them in the past, both of them haven't been great at that side of it. Peacock Fowl marginally better, but he has looked really assured. I think it probably helps playing behind pretty much the same back four for the most part, or there's some form of chemistry there being built up. And there's a few times he was out of his box and playing as that sort of fifth defender, wasn't it? But sort of as a sweeper, picked up the ball and then just recycled it very, very quickly as well. But back on the sort of the comment around what's Davis doing that Rooney isn't, it is just purely down to coaching, and he's obviously saying it's instilling it in the players and delivering it. Let's not forget that Chris Davis has been a coach pretty much for 18 years or something. So since he was 18 years old or something, maybe, I think was it 18 or 19, I think. Should know that. I listened to the thing with Richard Wilford the other day, but he got straight into coaching almost straight away. So he has looked at all different forms of coaching. He's worked under Brendan Rodgers, Jurgen Klopp, Ange Postecoglou. He's worked with all different ranges of players of different abilities. He knows what it takes to deliver that message to the players in a way that makes them understand what they need to do. So it's not just, this is what you've got to do. It's this is why we're doing it as well. So they understand the why. It's not just the how, it's the why. And then from there on in, you can build those passages of play, and they can understand what they understand what they have to do. And I think that's quite important to put that across. I don't think, and I'm just making an assumption, that the players were getting that information from Rooney when he was there, or his coaching staff. I think Davis is just, it might be information overload for a lot of them, and they're having to take a lot in, and they will make mistakes, etc., etc. And he's kind of said that himself, but he can see that they're taking it all in and doing what they're supposed to do. And I think that's probably the difference. I don't think it's purely down to players and their skill sets.
I agree with you. I think you could argue that he's had a pre-season, but the pre-season that they've had has been far from perfect. The trip out to Austria didn't go as planned, and the preparations, like the players that came in, haven't come in very early on in the window. They've sort of trickled through as they've happened. Yeah. So it's not been an ideal reset pre-season. So he has worked wonders, but it's got to be on a communication level. I think that him and his coaching team that he's got, and the philosophies and the ways that they're trying to put them across, the message across to the players, is working.
Yeah.
And they probably haven't. So the big thing that we said about Rooney was before was like to get your players on side early, play to their strengths and adapt it. And I know that this looks like a whirlwind the way that we're playing now, but I don't think that he's rushed into it with them. I think that he's just explained very precisely how to do it and very clearly to them, and they've clicked. They've got a bit of confidence in them, and it's working. They can see the vision, and it's playing out, and playing out from the back, and it's working.
And do you know what as well? Like everybody in the squad, as far as I can see, and the reports that I've been hearing, is that everyone's, from a player point of view, is really, really happy with what they're doing. They're buying into it. They understand. I think they seem to understand it's a squad game. Everyone's playing with a smile on their face. Like, there are players in the squad that you would have expected to maybe have left that are still here and playing exceptionally well. And then just from take into account JJ, who I think most of us would have expected to have left by now, still here, played him pretty much started every pre-season game. Looks like he's going to start on Saturday.
I wonder with JJ, whether that, and I don't know if I mentioned it last week or not, but has something happened there where they've had the conversation, they've said, look, we want to build this around you, because it looks like they're trying to build it around him. He's been the focal point, like you say, all pre-season. He's been one of the main midfielders, him and Paik.
Yeah.
They're very settled. And is it a stay, we'll build it around you, we'll get promoted, hopefully, obviously. This is the message to him. Build with us, stay with us on the project, you'll be part of it. Next season in the Championship, we can then push on and then go from there. And it might be that before he was sort of in and out of the team, playing in positions that didn't suit him, that didn't make him look very good, which we spoke about last season very often. Now he's looking very good. He's got a role that suits him. He's been played regularly, and granted it's only pre-season, but he's had pre-season. Is that a let's stick with us, let's do it? And he's gone, yeah, okay, I'll buy into it.
It certainly feels like it's edging that way. I know a lot of people say they still expect him to go, and maybe will do. I think
tomorrow, just after we
just after we put this out.
Yeah,
if someone offers us £8 million, we're probably going to take it, right? So I think that
we don't need to.
We don't need to, but we probably will, because it will just mean more. They'll go out and do more rebuilding, and I think they're probably happy to do that. They probably can't turn that around, because it obviously helps with the financial turnover as well, which is fine. But I just have a gut feeling that he's still going to be here. It might go down to the wire, like the last day, but I'm pretty confident, based on the business we've done already, that we'll have somebody else to come in and take his place. Well, obviously we've got Leonard there anyway, but like another centre midfielder that we can bring in.
Okay, to mark the start of the league, we've got a new feature on WoW.
Matthew's new feature.
Matthew's new feature.
Is it my new
Matthew's
feature?
new features are on his face, but no, it's a feature Matthew has brought to us. Matthew, over to you.
We haven't got a jingle for it yet, but we're going to work on that for next week or the week after. Something.
Chris is
around the league.
You could write something, Matthew.
Spend some time on a Casio keyboard out the back. I say retired musician.
Retired? I'm glad you said retired musician. Yeah. You could write something. You got a week to put together a 10-second jingle.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
Podcasts are like 2 hours long. We don't need a 10-second jingle. It just needs
I'll get my eldest is currently learning the piano. I'll get her to do something. Actually, I won't because she is
because she's learning the piano.
Yeah. Anyway, around the league. So
I think I know what you're going to do in this feature. You're going to look around the league at what's going on.
At little things, yeah. So there's two things that stuck out. Two things that stuck out this week that when I had a bit of a mooch around, and some people may have seen this. There's a bit of a contrast. So there's a podcast called.
Did you just say two things stuck out when I had a mooch around?
Yes,
only one thing that sticks out when you had a mooch around. What did you do?
Well, you'd be surprised, Chris.
Yeah.
So the Hard Truth podcast, people may have. Oh my God, it's getting worse. People may have seen their video clip of this on social media. Where Darren
It's a good
McAnthony,
job that this is only framed to Matthew's head and shoulders, isn't it?
Darren McAnthony, the owner of Peterborough United. There's a question around the spending that we're doing, and he essentially said that, you know, this is a business. This is where we are with things. If we were a club that size, and we'd probably do the same. You know, it's fair play if they're bidding like 6 million, 7 million on Stansfield, and like we should just embrace it because it's actually quite good to see, and it was quite positive around it. And then he followed it up by backing us to get promoted straight away, essentially, and then basically be in the Premier League within 3 to 4 years or something along those lines. On the flip side, you had Ian Evatt, the Bolton manager, who the one that you
wanted as a replacement.
I was keen to have him. Yeah. But, you know, I was also quite keen on Chris Davis, if you remember, before anyone else mentioned him. So, you know, let's just.
I'll find that clip one day. I'll find that clip at some point.
Find that clip one day.
No, don't remember it.
So yeah, he was talking about. I think they just bought like a left back from Hungary or something, or Hungarian left back from somewhere, and they'd spent a few $100,000 on him, and he was just saying like he was very happy with the money the board had given him to spend, and that they have their values and their processes, and even though they can spend more, they won't. And then referred to teams doing unheard of. Making unheard of moves or transfer spending that had never been seen before, and had a little bit of a dig around sort of the financial decisions that the clubs were making. Now, the Sun actually portrayed it as Wrexham, but then I looked at Wrexham spending and I thought, well, it's not really that significant compared to what we've done. So it must have really been aimed at us. But he seemed a little bitter about it, despite the fact they're second or third favourites to go up as well. But
did you not say before, though, when we were talking about potential managers, that he is a bit spiky?
Yeah.
That regard.
Yeah,
so
he has. Even some of the Bolton fans aren't that keen on the way he delivers himself in the media.
So it's not really a surprise then that he's that way.
Off the back of that, I had a little bit of a dig into the current spending in the league, which currently sits at around about 20 million for the whole of League One. Blues currently account for about 12.5 million of that. So it's about, I don't know, so that's give or take 60%, right? Our closest.
It's worth noting as well, sorry, on that. So I was going to bring it up when we were talking about Reading later, but they've made no signings.
Nope. They've had one return loanee come back, and that's it.
I think he's gone back out again.
Has he gone back out again?
Yeah, I think he's gone back out. The keeper.
Yes, the keeper. Yeah, so they've made no signings. Then you've got Burton Albion, who have signed about 19 or something ridiculous like that. And then Stockport 14, Rotherham 13. You know, all those great players at Rotherham have signed. Obviously ourselves.
That we were jealous of.
Yeah, so jealous. Absolutely gutted. But yeah, no, their closest rivals in spending happen to be Charlton Athletic, who are putting some of that Alfie May spending to good use and have spent around £1 million in this transfer window. So we are.
It was going to happen, though.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen.
We spoke to Rotherham and Huddersfield fans at the games last season when we were in the pubs and stuff, and they said they didn't want us to go down because they wouldn't be able to compete with what they knew we were going to spend. and it just adds. It takes one space away from the promotion places. That was their views, and hopefully it does. I'm not going to get carried away with it and sort of say
it's fair, isn't it? I did have a look at around some of the transfers in the league, but nothing was really sticking out as a major coup or anything like that. So I sort of left it. But just the contrast between the spikiness of Ian Everton's, and Darren McAnthony at Peterborough, who seemed to really embrace what we were doing and was sort of quite happy to do it. And actually, on that note, he mentioned that Blues had made 4 bids for players at Peterborough. Now, we know one of them was probably Harrison Burrows. Now, whether he meant we made 4 bids for Harrison Burrows and, they got turned down, or whether or not we bid for anyone else. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there was 2 or 3 other players that we might fancy in that Peterborough squad, because, they do play football the right way. And, we would be... I think we'd be a pretty attractive option for a lot of those players. So it wouldn't surprise me if we actually end up going back for one of them. I know there's been talk of the Hector Cipriano or something.
That's what I was going to say, that one was sort of put around the other day.
Because he's kind of like a combative midfielder, but he's very technically very good. So you could potentially see that there might be something there. And we spoke about JJ going. Maybe they might look at bringing him in if that was the case. I think he's quite a presence, quite tall as well. But yeah, that was it for around the league. I thought there was a nice contrast between those two, and then obviously the transfer spending.
That sort of flows in quite nicely. So let's bring to an end your around the league. There we go. There's your little jingle.
Keyboard.
Yes. Let's roll that into transfers then, because you've just mentioned the one there potentially. There's been a few others. So signings first. Luke Harris, like the longest ongoing transfer. Well, probably not, but. It was going for like 4 weeks or something, 6
around
weeks?
The middle of June I first heard around that. And actually there's a listener of the podcast that tipped me off about that pretty early, and then we got it corroborated 12th of June it was actually, because I think I sent you about 58 days ago or something like that. I think I sent you how many days it was, didn't I?
Yeah,
I'm a Fulham fan that I'd asked about it pretty early on as well, to see what sort of player he was. So I'm surprised we've gone in. I wasn't sure whether we might try and make it permanent. Obviously, they do rate him. Apparently, from what I have heard, he's quite keen to come to Blues. Luke Harris.
53 days.
53 days, is it? Sorry, yeah. I apologise. Was it the 12th of June? Did you just count it then when we were...
No, I just looked back at your message that said 53
53 days, yes. There we go. So probably about 55 or 56 now, but I can't remember when I actually messaged you that. But yeah. Looks a decent player. Obviously, you mentioned the goals he scored, some of the goals he scored last week on last week's podcast. I think Alex Dickens said he models himself on Frank Lampard. I think he plays a little bit further forward than Frank Lampard, but he can play a deeper role. You're probably looking at that 10 role between him and Willemsen, I would think, and there'll be different games that suit each player better than the other, and obviously we've got the cup games and things like that as well. I wonder if he'll be able to play against Fulham in the Bristol Street Motors, if they'll let him, because they are allowed if the parent club let them do it. So it'd be interesting to see if they do that.
So also worth noting on that point about having a bit of flexibility about them, that Willemsen's also got that flexibility, so you can rotate those players. You can say, right, okay, we're going to play you in this position for this game. You don't have to just always say, right, I've got this block to put there, this block to put there.
Well, they can both play out wide as well as a little bit deeper, can't they? So then obviously we've seen Willemsen
Jan last
move
week on here was saying that Willemsen played a lot on the right hand side, didn't he? So
you see Willemsen move in front of into a more advanced position when Alfie May drops back as well. So you can almost use him as not quite a target man, because I'll be honest, I don't think he has the physicality of a target man at this point in time, despite being quite a big guy. But
as we said, I think we said last week that by putting him in there, it means that they've got to mark him. They've got to probably put a big man on him.
Yeah, there's something they've got to
that
think
takes
about.
someone away.
It gives them another problem. But we're going off on a tangent as we often do, so I'm going to reel us back in. I think we're all pretty pleased with Harris. I think we expected it for quite a while, and now it's finally happened, and he can start settling in with the squad. For those that got their hopes up, I don't think it has anything to do with Jay Stansfield coming here. We're not buying.
What you mean? You mean despite the fact that he was stood next to him?
Yeah,
he kept like, "All right, Jay."
Oh my God,
Jay. You mean that wasn't the case?
Unbelievable. Do you want to explain that?
Could have been
quickly.
Could have been. So yeah, someone's said that his interview, where he's been interviewed by Blues TV, that he kept looking off to the side and smirking and smiling, and that meant that Jay Stansfield was stood there, and he was like, it was a secret between them that Stansfield was signing. I mean, he could well have been there, but and
then they'd fly back out to Portugal to be on the bench for Fulham a day or so later. So
might have been there on FaceTime,
maybe, or maybe not.
I don't think that was the case. If anything, he was maybe just a little bit nervous, not 100% confident in front of the camera. Who knows?
So on that note, quickly, Stansfield update. Doesn't look like anything's happening at this point in time. Are you still 50-50? Because I'm not.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that it might be one that runs and runs and runs, and it's like last minute.
Well, we've got
not based on anything. I just think I think the club are really keen to make it happen. I think the player wants to make it happen. I just think that it's reliant on Fulham being able to accept something that Blues can put in front of them.
But good intel suggests that nothing is close. There are no agreed terms, personal or any other format at all.
Yes, no, yes, no, but there's this constant. It's happening from like decent sources that then just don't match up with other things that we get. So
yeah, I'm on the side of no at the moment. I just can't see it at this point in time. Next week's podcast, I have the right to change my mind, but at present, from the stuff that I've been hearing, I'm reluctant to think anything's going to happen. Now, would love it if it did, but we'll see. So, other rumours this week has been Dembele's brother, who is at Brest in France. I think he's been made available for transfer. Understand that we don't have any interest in him, which is a surprise actually, because he looks really good and would be a very useful winger on the right hand side
and his brother could have a word.
Yeah, and that's someone actually. There was an article that said, was it Alan Nixon that said they're hoping to use his brother as a secret weapon? It's not really a secret, is it? I mean, it's his brother. So, and I think they do get on because Siriki was sharing I forget his first name. It begins with a K. They've shown his goals over social media and assists and when he won player of the match and stuff like
Karamoko.
That sounds about right. Are you reading that?
Have I just made that up?
No, that sounds about right. Definitely a K. But it looks really good player, and it would give Koji Karamoko, there you go. Would give Koji a bit of competition down there, but of course you've got Romel Donovan that can play out there. Kesh Anderson can play out that way. I mean, he seems to be sort of being pushed further down the pecking order at the moment. So we'll see. But I think there might be a want to bring in another winger or another person with pace, someone that can open up defences and run at defences. So we'll see what happens there. The other one was Sonjay Hansen.
Hansen's brother.
Is he at Nijmegen? NEC Nijmegen, I think.
Is it not his brother?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I haven't got anything on that, but I don't believe he's one of the ones we're looking at, mostly based on the fact that he can't last 90 minutes, and we are purposely going out to sign players that are very, very fit and don't suffer from injury problems and stuff like that. And he just seems.
Did you not say that his Instagram seems to suggest that he likes a party lifestyle as well?
Yeah, historically, I think he was a bit of a party animal when he was at Ajax. When he was younger, he was quite highly rated. Now, don't get me wrong, he looks really, really dangerous, and he scores some goals. And I think if you were to get him on a good day and keep him fit, then I think he would be quite a weapon. But based on the little bits I've read, and if you look at the amount of football he's played, I'm not sure he's actually played 90 minutes in the last couple of seasons, and that would be a problem I think, for our current staff, because they're out there looking for people that who can basically run for 180 minutes without wanting to be subbed. So, and then we've got a Japanese wonder kid potentially in the pipeline, we think. Now, Ayumi Yokoyama, is that right?
I'm not going to attempt it, but I'm going to say yeah.
Yes. So predominantly was played as a striker. Last season played more off the left. I think people have looked at that and thought, oh, that means Dembele's off, or why do we need him? But my gut feel would be maybe a little bit of competition for Alfie May, tired legs, bring on someone that can get in behind defences, and maybe they see him as a striker. Japanese media seem to think he's heading for these shores. We think different. Not different, but
not different. Keen,
but not as far along as we think is being suggested at the moment.
Or wasn't. What was that, yesterday?
Yesterday.
So, things change fast in football, don't they? Especially when there's
but a flight from Japan isn't fast, so I'm not sure what it would have had done in that time. That would have completed in that amount of time. Let's do this medical on the plane. It's a long flight, isn't it? So, can you do medicals on a plane, Dave, to Japan and back? You've gone to Japan, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's a longer flight. I'm sure there's all sorts you can get sorted.
There you go.
Is the space?
So Dave has basically just told us that Yokoyama has done his medical on the plane and is ready to sign as soon as he steps off.
That's exclusive.
If anyone's going to be owning kind of custom planes, it's something which Brady can. He must own a fleet. Matthew, you'll know about his. I'm sure his aircraft.
Brady and Nighthead, yeah, just
talked right over my Vexclusive sting there.
Vexclusive.
Vexclusive.
So what do you reckon? Do you reckon that one will happen? I think
I don't know. All that I know is that he's the best thing since Koji Miyashi to come out of Japan. So I hope we get it done.
There's a lot of teams supposed to be in for him, aren't there? Some quite big. The Japanese media have referenced just Japanese J League teams, but I think there's actually teams from around Europe that are interested as well. So he's got a choice to make if he wants to leave. But I think his team have actually gone out and signed another forward or another winger. So potentially they are preparing for him to leave anyway. But
there's also the situation we've got Koji Miyashi, so he's got a fellow countryman.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a swaying point. There's also the fact that if he comes to us, then he's going to get game time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you could join multiple other teams and you don't actually get to play, or you get a loan out somewhere.
Yeah.
And you could spend, I can't remember his name, but the guy at Real Madrid who then spent 3 or 4 years from Japan, going out on loan to different teams. very highly rated, but you want to be spending time at your parent club and playing so that your future's there if you can. So it's a sensible move, especially if the money's decent and not too far away from what you'd be getting elsewhere as someone that goes out on loan.
It's good to see us casting that net far and wide. I mean, he's very young. I don't know if he speaks the language, but I'm sure Koji would be able to support in that, and I guess would support anyway.
Kubo was the guy that I was thinking of at Real Madrid.
I don't even know. Don't even recognise the name. I probably would if I looked it up. But yes, I have a feeling that one might actually happen. I don't know how long it will probably take to do, but we're still saying that we still need probably at least one more forwards, a right back. Oh, the Lee Buchanan thing being out for 2 months is going to cause a bit of a problem, because if Cochrane goes down, we are... Well, Manny Longelo hasn't left yet, but I think he's pretty much been ostracised from the squad. So
that was last week's time.
Yeah, I know. So I don't think he's going to be called back.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether we might end up looking to do some form of loan for a left-sided centre-back who can also play left-back maybe, or something that, fills those two gaps, or maybe even go for someone a little bit younger, like a development type player we spoke about previously, because it's going to be we're going to need some backup there, because these players are going to be running through brick walls for most of the season, especially the full-backs. So for 2 months we can't just rely on Cochrane playing game in, game out. We've got a few cup games to be playing as well.
Any names for potential left backs?
We were linked to Oliver Beck again, weren't we, at Liverpool? So I don't know. I mean, they're gonna want him to have significant game time. I'm not sure how much. Based on what I've seen of Cochrane, I wouldn't. He'd have to be half dead before I rested him, because I think he's brilliant. Really impressed with him.
I love the way you said that then. Brilliant.
You just have to wonder if they'd want to loan him to us. So, I don't know. He's a name that's cropped up, but I'm sure we were looking at other left backs when we were out looking for Cochrane. So potentially there might be some more out there, but I'm assuming it's probably going to be some form of short term. Well, 6-month loan maybe potentially, but
I think that's probably it for sort of incoming transfer rumours and chat. Then we've obviously got some outgoing ones. Again, we don't know, is the JJ thing going to roll on? Paik, Miyoshi even. A few that we were expecting to go that are still around. Hopefully stick around.
Well, Bakuna looks like it's all but done now, isn't it?
He's training with the
Al-Weather or whatever they're called.
Aston Villa, was it? Is that why he had the...
I can't remember. I don't know. What shorts was he wearing? I don't know.
Yeah. But there's obviously going to be some others. A few of the youth team players that are going to go out on loan. I think Fogarty, Home. Beresford. Brandon Keeler, I believe, is sticking around at least for now.
I think
they see him as that right back cover that we've said about
for
him.
now. But I think the thing about Keeler is he can play in, and I still don't know if they know what his best position is. So they kind of use him as a utility player, which if he's going to continue to develop, because I think he's a very good player, and I've said that before on the podcast. I like him a lot, and he's filled out more this year as well over the summer. So he looks like and he played well up in Scotland. So I think there'll be opportunity for him as that sort of utility player in the squad. Do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw George Hall go on loan.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
But what they'd probably have to manage him to a position where they're happy to loan him out, because they've got to get him through, fully through pre-season and get him into the season, injury free essentially. So. Yeah, I guess it's a day-to-day thing with him. So they might want to keep him close for the first 6 months and say, right, we're okay with loaning you out in January, potentially, once we know that, you're over, or we think you're over your issues.
I was just going to say, there's Junior Dixon.
Yes.
The loan out, we haven't mentioned that, had we? That's gone to Brom. No, not Bromley. What's the other one? I can't. Where's he gone? He's not gone to Bromley. Bromley was.
Yeah, it
begins with a B.
It definitely does.
Boreham Wood. That was it.
That's the one. There was a bit of a meltdown from some people who couldn't really understand why he was playing, why he's going to tier 6, tier 7. I can't remember. It doesn't surprise me. I don't think it surprises you.
No, I think if there was, you've gone through 6 managers last season, 1 this pre-season, and you're going to be loaned out, and then nobody above that 6th tier has taken you. There's got to be a reason for that.
Because and he would have been offered to teams higher up the pyramid as well.
And every team wants a goal scorer. So you'd think that someone would have taken a chance on him if they'd seen something that they like. I hope that it works out for him. I hope that this is a loan that sparks something for him. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But it didn't surprise me at the time that it wasn't. Another goal scorer to probably talk about that potential loan is probably Frank Tatum. Had a really good season, went out on the Austria tour, and then picked up an injury, a bit of a freak injury, I think, in Austria, which he'd have probably been involved. You don't know how much he'd have been involved over there in pre-season or in pre-season in total, but you'd have thought that he'd got some minutes because of the lack of another forward aside from Alfie May and Duke. So yeah, it was, I think, a bit of a shame about the injury for him. Whether he would stick around now and wait until he's fit again and see what happens in the window, or whether there's a loan like with Dixon where you can call him back and play him in the Bristol Street competition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the thought process that we should put out a really strong squad in that and try and win it. I mean, I think Tatum probably he broke into the under-21s last season, didn't he? So playing sort of infrequently. I think it'd be nice to see him step up into the under-21s and be there. Basically, their main number 9 going forward, and then obviously because he's still young, next season maybe look at loaning him potentially. Depends how he gets on, but there's a few players that obviously will need to get loaned out, etc. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. But at the moment, I'm more concerned with just bringing a few more players in for cover and in the first team, really, striker, right back. Maybe another left back, potentially a centre back, but centre midfielder, I don't know, who knows, but Jay Stansfield, anyone. So just give us more players. Come on, Craig, what are you doing? We haven't signed anyone since Sunday, for God's sake. Pull your finger
Make
out.
a signing. We're getting needy.
We are getting needy. They've treated us so well over this summer. We need another fix. So before we move on to Reading and close the podcast, obviously start the season. Let's get some predictions from us and see how different they are. 1.
Is that where we're going to finish?
So I assume that you're going to ask
so my
finishing
first
position.
question is,
how many goals?
How many goals? One goal. Where do we think we'll finish? 46 game season. Where do we think we'll finish?
First.
Yeah, top. I'm with Chris on that.
First as well.
Yeah.
Are we going to break that? Right, so this wasn't part of it, but are we going to break the 100-point barrier? Yeah, I think we will as well.
I don't want to get too carried away and too cocky or anything. I don't think it's cocky. I think it's confidence in what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I agree,
and it's not gonna be simple. It's not gonna be easy.
If I couldn't see an identity,
you can see now. You got glasses
or philosophy, money glasses. If I couldn't see the identity and the philosophy and how quickly they've progressed in the last few weeks, I may have thought differently. But consider how quickly the shift and how significant that shift has been, I'm so confident that it's probably 138.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that your name on the recording studio tonight is 100 plus
100
points.
plus points, yeah.
So I think you were always going to be
It was
confident.
originally I predicted right, and I thought it was in bad taste, so I deleted it to 100 plus points. So
I don't want to even get into that.
No, we're not. I was moving straight on. Top goal scorer. Silly question. It feels like at the moment, doesn't it?
At the moment, with who we've got available to us and who's there in the squad, Alfie May.
Yeah, I'm going to Alfie May. I think he'll score 25.
I think he might. So I think he might even go 30.
He averages 20. He's averaged 23 for the last 3 seasons. There's a good chance that he could score 30. I'm going to go safe at 25. This wasn't part of the thing either. But
Top goal scorer was.
And then most assists.
Oh, Vegan, top goal scorer.
Oh yeah,
I'm
sorry.
agreeing. Yeah, May.
Oh, okay.
It's very hard not to pick him, isn't it? Really, it's very hard not to pick him.
Looking at our options and looking at the pre-season. Yeah,
This is more difficult. Most assists. I ummed and ahed on this so many times because I think the pieces behind May at this point in time are quite interchangeable.
Jay Stansfield.
They have to be in.
Oh,
the
do they have
squad.
to be? They have to be
in
there at the
squad,
moment.
current
Okay.
squad.
So do you know what I'm going to go? Miyoshi, assuming that he stays around. Miyoshi.
That's where I was because he does create chances and he takes set pieces as well. And that's where my head was at the same time.
Vegan.
I was going to go towards Leonard, but I think you might have alluded to earlier in the conversation whether he's going to get enough game time, especially early on or not. So to give someone different and not to pick him, I'm going to go for Williamson.
Interesting.
Is deft dummy on
Beautiful
Based
touch
on
that was.
yeah.
Beautiful touch.
He just lost concentration, I think there. It's quite funny, really. Yeah, fair enough. So all fairly similar, excluding Dave's choice on the assist.
How many clean sheets?
$17.
Vegan.
46. I don't know.
So we're conceding in all the cup games then.
I was going to say 20, but I think I'm going to go. I'm going to set. So 20 seems a lot in football, so I'm going to go 17.
I'm going to go 23. Are we including cup games in that, or is it just league games?
Just league.
23, half a season. Why not? Be bold. I think we'll concede a few goals because I think that teams will counter us when we're higher up the pitch. But I'm hoping that we've got enough quality to see off any threats. So, yeah, why not? Be brave. No fear football.
That's one, Dave. What are you saying?
I'll go for about a third of the season.
Wow.
You can do the math, but roughly about a third.
It's always one. Terrible at maths.
It's not too far off mine, I don't
Maths.
think, is it? So it's 24-ish. So not a little bit less. Right.
Is that it? Is that all of you?
That was it. Yeah, it was only really those 3 things.
Right.
I threw a few extra things.
We
in there
need
as well.
we need to write them down, put them in an envelope. End of the season, we'll crack them out. We'll see how we did. On to Reading then.
On to Reading.
Right, we might have. So, I'm literally currently messaging a guy called
He said he would
Mark
have it over
Mayo.
in 15 minutes. And he said he'd done it, I think, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah. He said yesterday that he was going to do it and send us a video. So the guy's called Mark Mayo. I think he's a reporter he does sport for the Evening Standard and Reading FC content for the Tilehurst End, which is a website that has a podcast and stuff, I think. He said he's going to send it over. If he sends it over, it will be here now.
Evening guys, Mark here from the Tilehurst End, previewing the Reading game as the season starts against Birmingham this weekend in League One. Not a league we're used to meeting in, but here we are. Welcome to the party, boys and girls. So I'll start by saying my thoughts on Reading's pre-season. We've beaten Hull, we've beaten QPR. I know Birmingham just beaten West Brom, so maybe the championship's not as strong as we thought it was this season. But for Reading, really, it's the same team, but with some new young faces. Ruben Selles has the fans backing, and really it's evolution, not revolution, which is absolutely fine with us. Nothing really to say about how we're playing at the moment, apart from his kind of last season's setup again, 4-2-3-1, with it looks like a bit more of a press this year, while the opposition has the ball. But really not a huge amount to say out pre-season at the moment. No drastic results. A couple of narrow wins over second-tier teams. Not really something I'm going to throw too many eggs into a basket for at the moment. But decent start. Certainly happy with where we are in terms of our expectations and hopes for the new season. Well, I mean, not having a massive points deduction hanging over us, as far as we know, is so much better than normal. So that feels like optimism to me. We're takeover-wise, Reading haven't got it done yet, but we're aware of the idea that the former Wycombe owner, Rob Cohig, is kind of on the verge of doing something. Obviously, it's going to happen too late for this transfer window. We're in a transfer embargo anyway, so that is going to limit our kind of hopes and expectations for the season, but that's kind of fine. As I was just kind of saying, we're not really... A promotion push would be delightful, but it's really not what we're expecting at this time. We have a lot of things to sort out off the pitch before we can really start to think about that. But having said that, it's essentially the same squad as last year, and that squad and manager did get us from basically the entire second half of last season. We were one of the better teams in the league, whether that was in terms of form table being kind of 8th or 6th or 10th or whatever. We were always there or thereabouts from the second half of last year. So there is optimism there. I personally think we'll start well. I think we've got a bit of a head start on everyone else because we have more or less the same team. That means we're nice and gelled. We're not having to, fit in 5 new signings. Think of Rotherham and 25 new signings, whatever it is. We're not having to do that, and we do have quality, so we should be able to start quite well. I think there's a good chance we'll maybe fade as other teams kind of click in, having improved their teams. January is going to be the crucial time for us in terms of which direction our season goes in. We'll still be under a transfer embargo. Maybe a slim chance Cohig can get that appealed if everything's going well. But if we can start to bring in some new faces, if we're there or thereabouts in terms of the playoff push, then that'll be when our season really takes off. Alternatively, collapses as things don't go so well. My thoughts on where Birmingham need to watch out this weekend. I'd say it quite generally, not necessarily one player, but the midfield. Reading are kind of building a sum of the parts type of team at the moment. The midfield, we're expecting it to be Lewis Wing, player of the season last year. Set plays, long shots, midfield general, really a classy operator at this level. And then it's probably going to be Ben Elliott over Charlie Savage next to him. Savage is a more defensive-minded player, but he's very good technically. He'll throw himself about. Certainly expect to see him off the bench. Kind of no matter what the score is, as fresh legs in midfield. But Ben Elliott's a really interesting player. Free from Chelsea, we got him last year. He's technically very sound, physically kind of diminutive for this level, but still one of the Savage or Elliott. I really fancy one of them to have a massive breakout season because as a playmaker, Elliott has a lot of potential and scored a goal in pre-season recently as well. So if he can add that extra level to his game, that'd be amazing. And then kind of the third part of that system, probably the most important part, I would say, is Harvey Nibbs. In the number 10 role, converted from a winger last year, absolutely one of the league's best, if I can phrase this, best defensive attacking midfielders in terms of he'll lead the press. He's got very, very good stats and very good at winning possession. And he also has the happy knack of grabbing a goal up the other end as well. So I'd definitely say that the midfield is going to be a key battle. And that's where I'm very confident that Reading can have a good go at Birmingham on Saturday. My thoughts on why Birmingham are dangerous. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm hugely abreast of all of the various players that you spent money on this summer because I haven't got the time. But I would actually say that the kind of sense that I get from what's going on at Birmingham at the moment is the danger is the vibes. Obviously, Alfie May is a top level striker, top League One striker. We know the danger there, and obviously there's going to be some quality from the new signings and whatnot. But it's about, for Birmingham, the danger is if they can ride the crest of a wave. If you can kind of start well and, just enduring games as well. If you get on top of teams and you kind of 1-0 up early or 2-0 up and this sort of stuff, then it feels like the atmosphere and everything is going to be very, very difficult to play against, whether it's home or away, because teams are going to find that, if you can step on the throat of teams, whether it's Reading or even, high or low or whatnot, it is going to be really difficult to deal with that because there is going to be the quality there. There is going to be the confidence that you can, obviously get promotion straight back is going to be really high if you can just get that first little step over the line and kind of get on top of teams. Whether you can, that is kind of where I have my doubts. Rookie manager, interesting choice. Perhaps thinking 2 steps ahead, kind of like Burnley did with Company, can work really well, or it can backfire. So that is a massive question mark for me. League One is horrible in terms of, for Reading fans, we had this last year, I know it's not just myself, had a massive culture shock that fans, while watching games, you realise that kind of 20 minutes or so has just disappeared and nothing's happened and your momentum has gone and that teams have somehow turned the tables on you without actually looking kind of good. And it can be a really frustrating time. And that's the danger for Birmingham, is that if the fans and the players find that they can, they're getting frustrated, it's a really difficult time when you're at home to these sort of teams, or, away and you can see the sloppy goal, they turn on you really quickly and it can be so interesting. So the danger from other teams' point of view for Birmingham is that if you can get above that, rise above that, and you've got the investment there, you've got the quality there, you have that, and the atmosphere will definitely be with you in that sense. If you can getting above that kind of first hurdle, getting some early goals and that sort of stuff, then absolutely that is the threat for Birmingham this year. I mean, the quality, as I said, kind of speaks for itself, but it is the mental side of League One. Honestly, it is a difficult thing to overcome. Prediction wise, then, for this game, I mean, first games of the season can go absolutely anywhere, can't they? You could easily argue a Brom win. I'm not going to do that. I think we are a much more settled 11. That's a fact. We've got a lot of quality. Got a couple of young players who maybe, sink or swim. No idea how that's going to go. I'll be optimistic. I'm the Reading fan on here. I'm going to go 1-0 Reading. Plenty of backs against the wall defending late on. So thanks very much for having me, and we'll see you Saturday.
Thanks for that, Mark, or not, but we'll say thanks for that, Mark, because that's that was really insightful, I think. What do you reckon? or not?
As far as Reading fans go, yeah, really insightful.
I mean, let's be honest, they've had it tough.
Very.
Yeah.
Restrictions in place.
Die Young, their owner, or something like that. To words to that effect. Asset stripping has been taking place. They tried to sell their training ground, the £50 million training ground, on the cheap to Wickham. Couldn't go through because planning said that only Reading could play there, so that saved their training ground. Got deducted 6 points last season for paying wages late.
And still finished 16th, 17th?
17th. They would have finished 15th if they hadn't have had the points deduction. Ruben Sells.
Yeah, came through from Southampton, didn't he? He was on the Southampton coaching staff.
Yeah.
So obviously a possession base, you would, I think, coach, manager.
I mean, according to Mark Mayo, though, who's just said that the football that they're trying to play and they try to do is they're absolutely stick to it. This is what we do. Or he didn't say that. That's just something that I've read online earlier.
Well, it's funny because they played Hull at the weekend or the weekend before, and the Hull manager completely moaned and berated them for being overly physical, which was interesting. So are they overly physical, or are they just overly physical for a friendly? Do you know what I mean?
I guess we'll know if Mark Mayo ever sends us his video, or if not, we'll find out on Saturday. But yeah, like just the fact that we mentioned earlier that they play out from the back, they try to play a possession-based football, is going to give us the opportunity to try a high press in a competitive situation. We've tried it in friendlies, and it's the real ball's coming out. So give it a go.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident going to Swindon. I think they're quite a young, inexperienced team, or they're quite inexperienced a team, aren't they? Obviously, no signing. Didn't add any sign-in, so you'd have to suggest they're probably. I mean, my gut feeling is they're probably going to struggle this season based on what we know about them. I think it's going to get off to a pretty rough start for them. I really fancy it on Saturday. I'm pumped to come over, pumped to see you guys, pumped to watch the game. I'll be sitting with my dad as well, so it'd be good to see him and watch the game. I think it's going to be a comprehensive victory, which I know normally comes back to bite me on the backside, but I'm just feeling it. I'm just feeling it.
Well, I mean, according to Mark Mayo, the danger man for them, Sam Smith, 16 goals last season. I think they signed him from Cambridge, did they? Was that what Mark Mayo said, or didn't say? But like I said, no signings for this season, so they're going to be pretty much the squad that they were last year. I don't want to be overly confident, but I feel like I am being overly confident. And like you, I don't know if that's. I don't want to go there. I don't want to tempt fate, but I just feel like now the confidence. I want the confidence in the team, and I want the fans to be confident. I want fans to be positive. I want people to. We mentioned it earlier. Just go watch the game and don't get stressy when we're playing the ball around. Just be patient with it and allow it to take place. Allow them to build what they're trying to build.
I hope that most people that are going to the game is obviously sell out now. So they've announced a sell-out, which is going to be it's going to be some atmosphere, I think. And we don't know what Nighthead have got planned for the start of the season as well. So I imagine things are going to be a little bit different. I think there's been enough of a message from both the manager and from people watching pre-season friendlies and just the talk in the general media and the local Birmingham Mail and stuff like that, that fans are prepared for this is the way we're playing now, this is our identity. Will there be people that are going to moan and get a bit angsty about it? Probably, but I think it'll be a lot less than...
There will, because it happened on Saturday. People were getting... Yeah, we heard people getting agitated on... Essentially, and like when we're knocking it around the back, but like you've got to get on board with it. This is our future now 100%. as a team. Get used to it, get comfortable with it, enjoy it, embrace it. It's all that we can do. So shall we get some predictions?
Yes.
Right. Before we give ours, this week we've got Lee Harris from Keep Right On Birmingham on Instagram. Top bloke. We've got him on for his guest prediction. We're going to try and get one of these every week if we can from someone and have a little leaderboard. Whether that will happen, because we are us.
We are.
Whether that happens, we'll wait and see. But let's see what Lee's got to say.
Hello, fellas. Lee here from KRO Birmingham City. I'll give you a prediction for Blues versus Reading on Saturday. I think we're going to absolutely batter them. With a full St Andrews, all of the optimism at the moment, the free-flowing football, I can't see anything but a massive victory for us. I reckon 3-0, maybe even 4-0, but I'm going to go with 3-0 and Alfie May brace. And I've got a feeling Siriki Dembele might get one as well. That would be nice. Anyway, keep right on to Saturday. Let's go.
Thanks, Fatley. Thanks for joining us. I'm not sure how we're going to score these. No, let's have a little brief discussion. If you get the result right, as in not the score line, but the win, lose or draw, 2 points?
1
1 point.
1 point and 3 points for correct score.
1 point and 3 points. Okay, so like draw, win. Mm-hmm. What about if you get a scorer correct? This is for guests, not for us.
Okay. It's a bonus point if you name one of the scorers, I think. Just
okay, so, but you can name one scorer. So he's Alfie May.
Maybe a point for every correct scorer.
Let's just keep keep a correct score or result. Because it just gets too complicated.
But bonus, you can name one scorer, and if they score, you get a bonus point.
Okay, yeah. So we'll give him Alfie May.
Alfie May, because that's who said first.
Right. Fair.
Okay. Right, we'll have that as well. We'll have the same score system.
Okay.
So, Chewy, you wanted to go 3-0 because I saw your face go when you saw that Lee guessed 3-0.
I'm now going to go 3-1 just to be different.
Oh, that's one of the clean sheets gone.
Yeah. Don't worry,
plenty
more.
Lowering the mood of the week.
3-1 and obviously going for Alfie May as well.
Vegan?
2-0. Both Alfie May.
You're doing it. He's doing it. I can see it. I can see the vein in his head.
No. And like, the whole not wanting to get carried away and be overconfident and whatever else.
5, 6.
I'm going 6. I know.
A double hat trick.
I know.
A double hat trick by...
No, I know. And I know. But I'm going 6. I'm going 6-0. And I might even put a £1 on it. And...
Put our current odds for winning things, you probably get like 3-1 for that or something ridiculous.
And I'm going to go for Bailey Peacock Farrell to be the scorer. No, I'm not. Alfie May, obviously.
You might get better odds for that one. So that's Reading. We've obviously got Charlton. I'm assuming that we will probably do a podcast after the Charlton game.
Yeah.
Quick prediction on that one. We won't score this one, but we don't know what the team will look like. I think we have a fair idea of what the Reading team will look like. So I think it's going to be fairly similar to the one that started this week. At least that's my feeling.
I'll tell you what. Let's, rather than predicting it now, let's watch the game at the weekend, see what happens, and then we'll put some predictions together, and then we'll put a follow-up social post with predictions on.
Fair enough.
Because at least then we've seen the game and got an idea of what's.
But I think we'll beat Charlton 2-0, just so you know.
You're gonna. We'll see whether you stick at that. Before we do sign off, we are I can't say.
We are Birmingham. We are Birmingham.
We are Birmingham this Saturday. I think we might have a rough idea. Do you want to? Should we say it now?
Just to be, we're going to dot into 3 pubs for a limited amount of time, or so.
Hennessy's to start with.
Baines's and Dead Wax will be the 3.
Not in that order, because it's the wrong.
Chris will let people know one way or another where we are.
We'll put a tweet out when we get into somewhere. If you want to join us for a beer, come and join us for a beer.
Nothing mad. Just one of those like quick catch ups like that. So, I'll be in Birmingham for the day and the evening with my friends for the most part. So I'm really looking forward to coming over Thursday night, and it's going to be a long old Friday, I think, working and then working my way down from Liverpool down to my mum's and whatnot, and probably be too excited to sleep overnight, so I'll be really tired Saturday morning.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's just like Christmas Eve, and then picking Dave up on Saturday, ready to head up to Birmingham. I am really looking forward to it.
Good. You should be. Right. We'll see you boys on Saturday. Maybe see some of the listeners on Saturday. And until next week, enjoy the game, stay safe, and keep right on.
Keep right on.
Keep right on.